Can you imagine that? Malfunction of the timing system. So Charlemagne the 58.68 was a no-show, and she ended up with 108, clocking 1 minute 08 seconds. So she's out of the 50 fly, and she'll be back again in the pool to compete in the 50-meter freestyle and the 100-meter breaststroke. Also looking to compete, DeAndre Blanchard in the 50-meter freestyle, 100-meter breaststroke, and 100-meter backstroke. And Naima Hazel in the 50-meter freestyle, 100-meter backstroke, and 100-meter breaststroke. Following the swimmers, it will be the turn of the 3x3 male and female basketballers. And of course, if you miss it, the basketballers, the male, Ryan Philogen, Alyssa Theodore, Garrick George, and Celestus Leon. The female, Maya George, Petal Brown, Kalia Stevens, and Romani Lewis Emmanuel. They'll be in action on December 2nd and 3rd, and that will be followed by, of course, our sailor. So let's hope that our young people in Cali, Colombia, will continue to make us proud. We turn our attention now to swimming, and of course, if you missed it last weekend, national female swimmer Vanessa Eugene made history on Sunday when she became the first woman to swim a 14-kilometer from Sanders Grand St. Lucia Spa and Beach Resort to Rhode Island in a time of 6 hours, 58 minutes, 10 seconds. The 14-kilometer swim is the first documented swim for this route. Additionally, it will be ratified through the International Governing Body for Marathon Swimmers Federation, ISMF, since the measured distance is over 10 kilometers. Sunday event started approximately at 6:21 a.m. when the official horn sounded on the Sandals boat and Vanessa ran into the water to commence her historic swim. And according to Vanessa, going to Rhode Island, and as she's speaking, and this from Sandals, despite the fact that you see Rhode Island looking close, the swim was quite long. Going around the landmark, it was a bit tough because the sea swells in the area, and heading back to Sandals Grand, it was tough because it was windy plus the sea swells. According to Eugene Sava, my breathtaking was a bit difficult. Every time I breathe, the water goes straight into my mouth. So I had no time in terms of breathing. I also encountered a lot of sea current, which was quite tough as well. But at the end of the day, it was good. In terms of what next on her calendar of events, she said, it's in the making. But when it's ready, I will let everyone know. For 2021, this was the final challenge swim for me, she noted. And of course, she took the time out, like every citizen, to thank Team Sandals who supported her along the way. Sue Dyson, Channel Swim Coordinator, and the support team, Sandals support team, and members of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, Marine Unit from start to finish. And of course, Sports Minister Kenson Casimir was on hand, and former Sports Minister Sean Edward was also on hand, who gave a message, a WhatsApp message from Prime Minister Philippe J. Pierre, congratulating Vanessa on her historic swim. Again, we at UTV, we like to share this similar sentiment to Vanessa, and of course, in her journey going forward in terms of long distance swimming in St. Lucia. Today, the 9th edition of the Mango Bowl Regatta set sail. And of course, for the last 18 months, the pandemic has kept boats on dry, and sailors waiting patiently. And of course, today, there were 10 boats racing in 2 classes, followed by guidelines and protocols set by the Chief Medical Officer and the Ministry of Health and Wellness. The Friends Surprise class combined with the G24 class for up to 8 races and another racing class of 5 boats. And of course, I have on the line now, I will be talking to Lily Begas, Okay, we will get back to Lily Beggars in a bit. But in terms of cricket, earlier today, former national cricketer and president of the St. Lucia National Cricket Association, Julian Charles, challenged the incumbent Carol Henry for the presidency of the St. Lucia National Cricket Association. The SLNCA AGM, an election of officers, was held at Mikud Multipurpose Center. And I will be speaking to Carol Henry, who is the president. And interestingly, you wouldn't believe what happened at that election. And that election went down to the wire, right? Because I was kind of following it. And Carol we're trying to get him on the line, and then, but trust me, you will have the results, I'm sure. And I'm going to tell Carol they should have spin a coin to get the winner, because in T20 cricket you play a super over. Okay. Good evening, Carol.
Hey, good evening, Anthony.
Good evening. I was just saying to myself, and to my listeners, I had a glimpse of the results, okay? And I was saying, it's T20 cricket. You should have had a coin cost.
A super over.
A super over.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not the case. It doesn't apply in this case here, you know?
It's just a sense of humor,
that one time doesn't apply in cricket.
Yeah. But how did it go?
Beg your pardon?
How did it go? In terms of the election?
How did it go?
Yeah.
Well, there's a very interesting situation that has resulted between myself and my rival for the presidency.
Yeah.
In that we had a tied vote. There are 16 affiliates, and the result was 8-8.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was vote. The vote was taken again, and same result.
Oh.
Okay. So it ended up 8-8 again.
That's the first time in the history of election in cricket has happened?
And as far as I'm told and as far as I understand. Okay. Very interesting result, man. The first vice presidency was won by Donald Dave Albert.
Uh-huh.
And the second vice presidency was won by Denley Anthony.
Anthony, okay.
Mr. John Estefan retained his position as principal secretary. Mm-hmm. And we have a new secretary. Ms. Esther Theophane.
Theophane, that's from Chozel.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And in terms of the treasurer?
Well, those were unopposed. Because remember, there were no other nominations.
Celestine Laura.
Celestine retained as unopposed treasurer, and third vice president Rosalind Previll also same thing. There were no candidates vying against those two.
I guess my viewers will be interested to know what exactly the clause or the constitution is saying for
nothing. There is no provision in the constitution regards a tie.
Oh.
Okay, so the presiding official, the director of sports, Mr. Patrick Matre, he indicated that we should do another vote after the first tie, and then when that second result, repeated itself as 8-8, he indicated that we would bring this matter forward to the 11th of December. In the meantime, he would consult with the Electoral Commission and also the district attorney, the district attorney's office.
What happens now on the 11th of December? You get another 8-8.
Well, no. We don't know that. We don't know what's going to happen by the 11th of December in terms of that being the case.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that this is what will be required to be done.
Yeah.
Between now and December 11th, he will be consulting with these two offices I mentioned, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it pretty much sounds like it's like a matter to be resolved in the legal field. Get some legal advice on it.
Okay. So why not the two of you work together for the next 2 years as two vice presidents?
Really?
Yeah.
That would be
for the interest of the sport.
That would be an ideal, but I can tell you, from what I've seen, my experience in the past 2 years, Anthony, it would have to take some form of real, cooperation, support, and a joint vision, a joint, and having the same goal, having cricket as the beneficiary.
Okay.
Mostly the priority, really, and not about persons, individuals.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying I'm averse to it, but I really don't think it's realistic or it's likely to be the case. I hardly think it's likely to be the case.
Okay. What I will do, I will hold back on the questions that I will have asked, because if you had at that point to this evening was elected as president, I'll have further the conversation. But
let me just move away from some noise.
Yeah.
Machine just started in the background there. Yeah, go ahead.
But I will hold back the questions until the 11th.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, you understand my point, right?
Yeah. Am I live?
Yes, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. You understand my point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a very interesting situation because, as I said earlier, it's never happened before.
Yeah.
And the question was asked before that hypothetical question did come up before the elections,
Okay.
And we already knew that there was no provision for it in our constitution, which is something that needs to be rectified as well.
Okay.
Okay, there should be something speaking to such a development if it happens.
Is it show of the weakness of the constitution?
Weakness?
Yeah.
Maybe that's a word you can use.
Oh, loophole.
That constitution requires an overhaul.
Okay.
From what we're seeing, it really does.
Okay.
There are a lot of anomalies in there. A lot of the parts, there are quite a few areas where clarification is required, so on and so forth. Because even from when I reviewed it in comprehensively, a few times, I made notes on there. So it's now a case of really deciding. Look, it's time to undergo some constitutional review and reform, and ensure things are made pretty clear. I, for one, I don't see the reason why there should be, for example, an immediate past president on the executive of the International National Cricket Association. Because what you find is that the person you just defeated at the polls, right, comes back on the executive, and it sort of leaves room for say there's animosity.
Yeah.
That person could take a very negative, unsupportive role or stance or attitude. Okay? And you may be trying to achieve certain goals or pursue certain objectives and so on. But this person, because of bitterness or because of, whatever, may not want to be necessarily working along with you or support you and see that you get credit for anything that you achieve.
Okay.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a conundrum. I really have not seen. I'm told it's for continuity purposes.
Okay.
But look, you don't have to be on the executive for that to happen. If the outgoing president needs to be contacted, then you contact him, and any information you need, any stuff you need, you do a takeover, and that should be how it should be handled.
Okay.
It should happen. So that's just my own thoughts on it. But I don't see the reason for that. That's just one of the areas, and there are other areas that need to be, rectified and put straight as far as the Constitution goes.
In fact, you're not the only one or only organization in such situation. In fact, on the 16th of November, at the election of the National Olympic Committee, Chief Election Officer at the election, that was Hubert Pierce, said, "We work with a constitution. It was always our guide, and we had decided not to step out of it. I have already told he was referring to the St. Lucia Olympic Committee. This constitution need to be reviewed because there is so much that is left to suspect to person's own interpretation. So they need to really tie it up, and where there are gaps, fill it up.
Yep.
And like I said, your organization is not the only one. And
I've come across it, but and you look at your counterparts, and they don't have, they don't have it. Because I've been asked repeatedly, but why do you have an immediate past president? And all I could tell them is for continuity. But they say, well, look, continuity does not require the immediate past president to be on the executive. Yeah. And I agree. I really do agree.
Well, like I said,
because this person now, as I said, if it turns out that this person is, is not driven by any sort of personal, selfish, individual agenda, where it is all about themselves or himself, it's all about the cricket, then you're blessed, you're happy. They will not be, but what you find is that this person, if you just, as I said, not to be repetitive, this person may not necessarily be wanting to see you look good because they may well want to come back into the fray at some point. Mm-hmm. So they may not necessarily be wanting to work along with you to achieve good results and for you to be looking good.
Okay.
So, that's the way I see it.
Okay. We will have to leave it here for this evening with you, Carol. Sure. And I wish you, well, on the 16th, all the very best, you and your team. All the very best at the next calling of the election.
Okay, my brother. Thank you very much.
Have a good one.
Thanks for calling, and a warm good night to everyone out there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, welcome. Thanks.
We will get back in touch with Lily Begas. Of course, we just want to ensure that you have the results of today in terms of the Mango Bowl, the 9th edition. So we'll talk to Lily in a short bit. If not, we will take a break and come back. Like I said, most national federations, in terms of the constitution, anyone from the outside can walk in and vote, pay the membership and vote, and even put out a president or vice president. That's how weak somebody's constitutions are. And we're talking sports and going forward. And if what's supposed to be governing the athletes or the sport is weak, what you expect us to go forward? We need to get it right, St. Lucia. We have Lily on the line. Good evening. Lily Begas, good evening. Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening. How are you doing?
Hi, Tony. Good, thanks.
Right.
We had a great day.
Great. I can see that,
Busy still, though.
I didn't hear you.
We're busy still, though.
Okay, right.
Results are out.
9th edition, of course. Your thoughts on today?
Pardon?
Your thoughts on today in terms of the results and who are the top winners?
Okay, we had a great day. We had 8 boats out. 4 or 5. Yeah, 8 boats out. And in the racing class, after 4 races, short races, long races, between 9 a.m. and 4 o'clock, we had 4 competitors, and the French team Saint-Neuf, skippered by Jean-François Terrien, came out in first place, with Gaia from St. Lucia, skippered by Robin Toos Hobson, in second place. Immortal, French boat, skippered by Yanis Abdelkrim, was third, and Frederic Ducrot skippered Ortac from Martinique. He actually resides in St. Lucia, but in both countries, but he raced for Martinique, and he was fourth in the racing class. In the J24s, we had 5 boats, 4 St. Lucian boats, and 1 Surprise French boat. And after 8 races all day long, Jabal from St. Lucia, skippered by Nick Forsberg, came out as the winner, with GFA Cararib from Martinique, skippered by Tristan Marmouzet, was second. Grayling from St. Lucia, the St. Lucia Yacht Club J24, was third. Firefly from St. Lucia was fourth, and Loose Cannon fifth. So we had a great day of racing. All sailors are happy with the results and the day of racing and finally getting back on the water here in Rodney Bay.
Great. And what's on for you this evening in terms of your award ceremony?
The award ceremony is just about to begin. A few of our sponsors are here, which we're happy about, and all's good. We have our cutoff at 9 o'clock, our curfew at 10, so we're trying to get everything done early.
Of course, as soon as I'm done here, I will be joining you all. So,
yeah. But it was a great day.
Indeed,
we're happy with the results.
It was a one-day event, and what I saw today, it truly speaks volume that the sailing aspect of it in St. Lucia is back. And of course, we had the chairman of the St. Lucia Tourism Authority, Thaddeus Antoine. He was here. He was there as well. You know, and I did a chat with him.
We're very happy to have the Tourism Authority with us today to see the potential of this event.
Indeed.
This has been going on for 9 years. We've had up to 35 boats this year. We had to do it, even with our 9 boats. We will be doing this again and again.
Quickly, as we're about to wind up on 2021, what's next on your calendar before your end?
For sailing?
Yeah.
Sailing, as much as we can get on the water, we will. There's talk about getting some more small regattas in place. Our J24, our local J24s do race weekly, just in the bay. But there's so much potential for bigger events. We are the first regatta in 18 months, regional regatta, to take place in 18 months in the Southern Caribbean. I mean, and that's significant. The Caribbean Sailing Association
the pandemic left every boat on dry dock, and of course the sailors waiting patiently. And finally,
everybody's been dry.
We're into action. Lily, I want to thank you for joining me this evening. And like I said, I wish you all the very best going forward. And of course, sailing in St. Lucia. And I guess as time goes by, you will incorporate the young men and women.
Of course.
In the youth.
It's a growing sport.
Yeah.
It always is. There's lots of room for growth. Sailing is a wonderful sport to start for children. Just need to come and find out what it's about.
Okay, so I want to thank you again and have a pleasant evening.
Thank you, and thank you for being here today, Tony.
Okay, I think you're most welcome.
all right.
I think we have some pick. Let me quickly show the pick as a person's kind of idea what actually transpired out there, and you can see. Took some shots this morning. Of course, I would like you, our viewers, to enjoy. Because this is one of the French boats here in action. And check this wonderful picture with the peak in the distance. And I can tell you it was competition at the highest level. And this is a spot, I believe, and if you realize last week I had the Minister for Sports here. I mean, looking at economic growth in terms of sports, St. Lucia, we sitting on a gold mine. So we have to take every opportunity that we have or we get to ensure that sports play a big role for our sportsmen and sportswomen financially. I will take my first break, but when I come back, I have a special guest, and we will be discussing sport administrators. I'll be right back.
UTV. I know you got it. If you identify with the most pulsating, the most riveting, the most eye-capturing UTV. To advertise with UTV, dial 484-7588 or 572-7588. For some of the most competitive rates, amazing programming, and bang for your buck. The most popular streaming channel, UTV 124 on Facebook. Get it now. Check us out on Instagram at UTV 124. Email us utvslu@gmail.com. UTV. It's not just for me. It's definitely TV for you.
Protocols for international visitors while in St. Lucia. The following protocols are established to guide the stay of all guests while on island in order to mitigate any possible spread of infection. During the first 14 days, visitors are allowed to patronize approved beaches, restaurant, sea and land excursions, and sites and attractions. All visits are scheduled and pre-arranged by their respective accommodation providers. During this period, all visitors will be transported to and from the certified sites using only COVID-19 certified tourism transportation. After the first 14 days, if any visitor wishes to stay on island beyond the 14-day period, they must apply for and receive a health clearance certificate from the Ministry of Health. Visitors will be allowed to travel, be out in the wider public, and patronize local businesses unsupervised once health clearance certificates have been received. During their entire stay, visitors must wear their masks whenever they are in public places and maintain the mandatory 6 feet distancing from others.
Yoshiri Bareb, channel 124. What is that? UTV, that stands for under, ground.
Then you find the Fisher Fox Palace. Patient Eddie Mercury said Buddha. And then you wonder Pucci Mercury superior, lasts longer and even faster. Mercury Cipro 75, 90, ancien 15, ancien 50, et 200 horsepower. Plebo warranty on the market and the price is right for your pocket. At Chalma, they will make me use my vocabulary. Mercury's performance, durability, fuel efficiency, and patiently Mercury give Plebo Puyo. Machine Mercury says Cipro. Machine Mercury coming on plein way, please it. Let me show you machine Mercury travail bali. Mueble ou koute saidi.
Avant moun te gade Mercury c'est bonda, a Chalma Mercury qui met bonda.
Maman, machine ça ou ça paye gaz, mais ou pas capiller gaz. Mercury Cipro est distribué par Island Marine Supplies Rodney Bay Marina. Pour plus d'informations, puis 460-9879.
Available at Red Dot in Grosile and Susie's Varieties in Bois de Wange and Vieux-Fort.
Thanks for tuning in to your favorite content creator, UTV. To find out more, follow us on our social media platforms: YouTube UTV124, Facebook UTV124, Instagram UTV124, Twitch UTV124, TikTok UTV_124 and Flow TV channel 124. Remember, UTV, TV for you.
We can win this war. Get vaccinated. We're taking our life back. Get vaccinated.
The COVID-19 vaccination drive is mobile and coming to you. Taking the 2 doses of the safe and effective AstraZeneca vaccine is our part to take St. Lucia back. Visit the Ministry of Health and Wellness and Bureau of Health Education Facebook pages to find out the vaccination time and venue nearest to you. Bring personal identification, and if you already have your first dose, bring your COVID-19 vaccination card when getting the second.
Get vaccinated.
This message is brought to you by the Bureau of Health Education of the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Sel bagay driver, pas de bout bay no sala eh. Yo ka pon vie bagay COVID sa, sort l'hôpital la ko yo katay, et yo ka mene yo commune la ba moun.
Them people not supposed to be boarding Simbasi first. You never know what they have.
If that nurse board the bus, I going down.
Madam, think before you speak. These are the same people who take care of us. All of us. They have their own families to go back to. And still, they put themselves on the front line for us. And you want to discriminate against them? Awa. Not on my bus. I just card with hey? You making me finish all my good English on you?
Good morning.
My lady, thank you so much for all the sacrifices you all make. Together, we must win this war.
Together we can beat this corona.
You're watching UTV, TV for you.
Yeah, welcome back. And as promised, I have a very special guest, a distinguished one as that. And for some of the young men and women who don't know my guest, he goes by the name of Martin Wicks. And of course, the last time I saw Martin play cricket was for at Minnesota Park. It was for where there had some past West Indies and Windward Island players. In terms, they came here to pay tribute to Mindu Phillip. The guys like Mike Finley and Irvin Shillingford, and also grace our presence here. And of course, our nippy wicketkeeper, Ignatius Kade, was also there. And Martin Wicks, tell you something, with a shot. He didn't get many in that match, you know. But for me, the shot that he played for 4, I think that was a shot of the match, and he should have received the player of the match as well, because that was an exquisite shot, you know. I mean, I've been honest with you. You know me already, St. Lucia. Okay. Anyway, St. Lucia, in studio is Martin Wicks. Good evening.
Hi.
And quickly, just tell my viewers, both on television and Facebook, there's a little something on Martin.
Good evening, St. Lucia, and wherever you're viewing from. I'm really happy to be here. This is something Tony has been trying to make happen for a while. So I'm happy that this happened, and I'm here. I am Martin Wicks, as Tony has told you, and I have a lovely history of sports in St. Lucia. You know, most people may know that, but I definitely took part in almost every sport that we played. And I was not great at any, but I was fairly good at all. Fairly good at all. But it's lovely to know that sometimes I am just walking down the street, Tony, and then, you know, a youngster or even a young at heart would meet me and mention some of the, you know, the yesteryear stuff. It really makes me feel good. Yeah. Thank you very much for inviting me.
And I know John Quinlan is following.
Okay.
And of course, because he just WhatsApp me a while ago, and Christian Grant in New York.
Yeah.
Like they just WhatsApp me a while ago. And I must say, St. Lucia, when you do these young people come to you and ask the questions, especially those persons who have played the sport before, you feel so pleased and happy to entertain them, you know. And the documentary aspect of it, after we discuss what we come here to discuss, I will tell you why. Okay? But this evening, and if you can recall, in March, I celebrated on television or in studio Women's International Day. And I paid tribute to women in sports in St. Lucia. Because for too long now, we, like I've always said, we use, abuse, and we discard. But we must never forget those persons who have laid the foundation. Some have gone, some have passed, some have moved on, the great beyond. But we still need to honor those persons who have contributed immensely to our development. So this evening, in fact, last week, this program was supposed to be last week. But because the Minister of Sports was traveling to Cali, Colombia for the Pan Am Games, I had to entertain him, and now I'm having this program. And basically, we're here to celebrate men, sports administrators. And in between, I will be recognizing some other individuals, which I believe they truly deserve that honor. St. Lucia. And the last segment of this show, I have a surprise. And it's from me to the 6 persons I have elected or selected. And I'm going to bestow something special on them this evening. But the ladies, don't get jealous, because come March, I will be bestowing similar on you all. We at UTV Channel 124 salute all St. Lucian men, but most specifically our men in sports administration. But I must first indicate to you, not all individual names, past and present, can be mentioned. However, the sport that you serve, in whatever capacity, is being recognized. And this evening, I want to start off with the Ville Bouteille Club. And they're celebrating 59 years. All right, this year, and counting. And they have stood the test of times.
Yes.
I used to be the sports organizer at that club at one time. So I can tell you. And much appreciation to Fitz Louisi, Godfrey James, Keith Wicks, Henry Phillip, Percy Goodman, Ali Black, Edwin Ferdinand, Ignatius Jean, Trevor Phillip, Julian Monrose, Ian Michel, Elijah Williams, Rupert Branford, Walter Dons, and in fact, Walter Dons currently supervises the club in La Clery. Your first on this name like this, Paul Martin?
Well, that is a great set of men you called out there. Incidentally, I'm happy you started with Ville Bouteille, because that is the first club I joined when I left St. Mary's College.
Okay.
Yeah, I lived in the La Clery area at the time, and it was like a natural progression to join them. And whatever I did in sports in terms of administration, and even some of what I did as a sportsman, you know, came from that relationship.
Okay.
Because that was the first time I had served on an executive of a club, with some of the names you mentioned there. And what I always like, and whenever I get a chance to mentor young people, I always say that they must show an appreciation for the seniors and the wisdom, quote unquote, if you want to call it that is passed on. Because this is where I learned so much about, organizing a club, running a club, taking minutes. It came from the VBCC, and you mentioned our friend Mr. Luisi, Joe Float, the great Joe Float.
But interestingly, like you said, in terms of the organization and the way the club presented itself at the time when it comes to meeting. I remember Mr. and Mrs. Dubois in Roadbusters.
Same thing, yes.
It was like Parliament.
Yeah.
I say, what?
Oh yeah, serious business,
It might say, what is people doing?
Serious business.
But it was serious business.
It was.
And this is some of the areas that we lack in.
Yes, yes.
In sports administration in St. Lucia.
We miss that club structure, that discipline. Yeah. You could imagine you were an assistant secretary, for instance.
Yeah.
And you came up to a general meeting and you did not write your minutes. And you have to explain that to Mr. Luisi. I'm not saying that happened to me, but
yes.
It really was serious business, Tony. So I'm happy you've decided to reckon. And we had some great men, and we're not talking about women tonight, but great men who worked very, very assiduously in getting the club structure to a level where it was, like you say, almost like Parliament.
Parliament,
Yeah, and not only that, but the governance that came out of those gentlemen really helped, nurture the young people who came up.
Yes,
because most of us became presidents of clubs. and not only the clubs, but also the associations.
With the leadership of Jimmy James, and we don't talk about the women, but I must mention Herminia and her husband.
Yes.
Give me that
athletics.
To go into track and field, go into bodybuilding, go into there's another sport I was involved, netball, and all that, it's just for the development of the young people.
Yes.
But quickly let's look at athletics.
Yeah.
In athletics we had Laurie Yogis, Fred Devo, Brian Walcott, Andrew McGlaw, Hugh Bristol, Irving Ferdinand, Wayne Burton, Alfred Emmanuel, Henry Bailey, Gary Lubin, Gimble Lewis, Dane McGlaw, Michael Peterkin, Terry Felistier, Roderick Sherry, Jonathan Emmanuel, Titus Ilya, Colinius Brin, and of course your truly, De Beauville. And special mention, St. Lucia, in terms of coaches, Cuthbert Modest, Marshall Challery, Terry Felistier, official, Alan Hippolyte, with striker, Wayne Benty. But we must never forget guys like Samuel Six, former policeman, Mollison Walcott, Victor Dudley Simmons, St. Lucia. Those were the men that championed the cause over the years for track and field in this country. Like I said, I could have mentioned everybody's name. So don't get offended. Your thoughts on these names, Mike?
Oh yes. I totally agree. And I'm happy in the end you mentioned Dudley Simmons. Because some of them were not in the forefront, but they were doing some serious work.
Yeah, and in terms of
Victor Dudley.
Officiated, Victor, you had Mollison.
Yes.
And I tell you, when those guys tell you, on your mark, set, and you call for to go to your left or go to your right, because once you do that, get up. And I say, boy, this balance wasn't easy. But yet again, it was a discipline, in that these fellas instilled in the young people over the years. We quickly look at basketball. We had Dr. Kenneth Louisi, Kembo, Anthony Lamontagne, and now we have Kelda Eugene, and of course Leslie Colimo. But you'll have known Kembo for many years in basketball. And of course he's a physio, and he assists in many other sports, national sports, whenever St. Lucia is hosting a tournament.
A name that comes to mind, I don't know if you're going to call some more, but is Wriggler King.
And there's a court named after him. And those are the persons who champion the cause of basketball. And that court where his name, tennis was being played there. You know, there's so tennis and basketball.
Yes.
You know, so a number of our national tennis players over the years came from the Gardens, Georgia Fifth Park.
Yeah.
If we miss it,
there used to be Windward Islands tournaments held there. You could imagine that, right there in the zones, yes.
And not forgetting Matthew Raphael, champion in his own right in terms of coaching. We look at bodybuilding, and we have the Sidoni brothers, Edmund and Cornelius Sidoni, Gilbert Spooner, Eugene Gabriel, A.C. Small, Desmond Regis, Lambert Popo, Liano Dado, Esnad, Jacques John, and of course, truly de Beauville. We all played our role, we all played our part. So we simply hope that at some point in time, we will see bodybuilding back on stream, and I simply hope COVID will be a gone case.
Yeah.
We look at boxing, and of course, like we mentioned earlier, Dr. Kembo Louisi, former president, Alfred Emmanuel, who is now president of the Olympic Committee and was president of track and field, was also president of boxing at one time, and of course, Joseph Resperero, commentator. We had David Jordan, David Christopher, Shannon Labon, David Papin, Robert Joseph, Irvin Jean, and Stan Bishop, and of course not forgetting a former cricketer who was also a member of the executive, George Alfred, and of course podcaster Brian Ipik McDonald. Your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm happy you mentioned George Alfred because you know he was probably the most unlikely looking, you know, some person when it came to boxing, and he was so, you know, so influential.
Yeah.
And he helped a number of young people.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Yes, and well, he was a good administrator also. Nice guy, nice all-round
guy. You can recall boxing under the Gishan?
Yes. Oh, yes. Well, I can remember it in the Dubulis factory.
Factory, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but these were the great old days. And of course, not forgetting Conrad Frederick, coach.
Yeah.
We look at cricket, and of course, you will get to know some of these persons there.
Oh yeah, with the
Farrell Charles.
Oh yeah.
Charles Augustine, Julian Hunt, George Eugene, Trevor Phillip, Brian Calix, Faustinus Faisal, Vincent John, Alcapicus Dulcie, Herman Gill Francis, Earl Huntley.
Yes.
Oliver Scott Jr., Dennis James, Emmanuel Bellas, Patrick Felix, George Alfred.
Yeah, again, yes. Two names that jump out to me immediately that you don't have there is my old partner Victor Reyes.
Victor Reyes.
Victor Reyes, who was more or less like a mentor. You know, I mean, I remember him encouraging me to wicket keep, you know, and he had a team which we toured around the island, you know, official, unofficially, and that's where I really got my base, you know. And another person also, well, the great Mindu himself, you know, he was sublime in when it came to helping, you know, monitoring what we do. You know, he was a good coach, you know. He was a good coach. I remember he was the one who brought us to a level when we were going to inter-school tournament, 1969. He was a coach, and Mindu spent so much time, you know. I remember us drying up the field, you know, when it rained, just to get practice. You know. It was some beautiful times. That was the passion that was there.
Yeah.
And sometimes if we thought that, you know, like the Victoria Park in those days, or Mindu Phillip Park was too wet, we would go and dry, you know, Masha grounds. Just to get the game, just to get a practice.
Interestingly, you mentioned Masha grounds.
Yeah.
I remember Victor Reds.
Yes.
And he had this long arm all above the waist, you know, and bowling started spinning. And he played with college. It was his college school team, and he played with the boys.
Okay.
And I think he also played, was it Newpark?
Newpark,
right.
And then we formed Geese. You remember Geese?
Yeah,
and then another name that I don't want us to miss here, because of the tremendous contribution he made, not only as administrator but also as a mentor, and was Nat Joseph, Nat James.
From communications.
Right. I mean, he most of the guys, a lot of the guys who became national players came through his tutelage, you know, under his mentorship.
Not just by me the one.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
But, yes. But special mention must also go out to Keith Shalry, former national and Wimbledon Island player who also played in England.
He continues up to now.
Up to now, you know. You have John Eugene, you have Alton Crafton, and of course David Olivier. All right, and these guys, they continue day in, day out to ensure that, you know, the young persons on island continue to apply the trade in terms of the various sporting disciplines. We look at cycling, and when I say cycling, you remember the glory days of the city circuit. And then you had Mr. Sherabin, Commissioner Sherabin. 2 rounds, 2 laps to go.
Real Olympic style.
Real Olympic style, you know. Former war veteran. And of course, we now going to look at Julius Drysdale.
Oh yes.
James Charles, who is deceased. Melvin Henry, Andrew Alcid, Roderick Cherry, and of course Stephen Mangal.
The Mangal brothers, yes.
Yeah, the Mangal brothers. I mean, those were the great, or the glory days of cycling in St. Lucia.
Yeah.
You know, you had the circuits, especially independent.
Yes, yes.
And before independent, and of course nationally. You know, you had Juve nationally, and by 11 o'clock, the Ministry of Communication will send this sweeper to get rid of all the broken bottles and things for 1 o'clock start. You know, so
great times, great times, good times.
I just around a long time.
And the whole of Castries would be present
you know,
around the circuit.
Now you're having cycling in Castries, and you hardly see anybody. Nobody want to come and support the athletes.
Yes, yes.
And dominoes. I tried getting some more info on dominoes, but I came up with Peter Dalso and Andre Maki. And of course, St. Lucia, they have won World Domino Championship, the Caribbean Championship on a number of occasions. And like I said, I simply hope, you know, the COVID will give us a break at some point in time, and where you see if you're taking a 66, or you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
But 2 other names that jump, and they're both Shamrocks when it comes to dominoes, was Julius Drysdale.
Julius Drysdale.
You know, he played and our great friend Rupert Polius.
Rupert Polius. And of course Errol Montut.
And Errol. Famous Errol.
Montut, I know. These guys they win the dominoes, and they already know what you have, you know.
Oh yeah, Errol was a
These fellas were great players, great players.
And they help with the administration of the sport.
Indeed. We look at football. You have Earl Huntley, Trevor Heath, Albert George, Felix Felicien, John Seeley. We had Henix Felix, Alfred Emmanuel, Kabbat Sagis, Emmanuel Bellas, Roy Alexander, Stephen Marcel, Patrick Matrin, Lyndon Cooper, Victor Reed, Mark Louis, Keldon Eugene, Stephen Regis, Kendall Emmanuel, Stephen Regis, Midget Pierre, and Chad Daisy. But special mention must also go out to Francis McDonald, Shane Paul, Delbert Martial, referee Timothy Joseph, David Aswad Taylor, Francis Lastic, John Daniel, Parry Daniel, Peter Prosper.
Yeah. Yes. That's an exhausting list you have.
Indeed. That's it.
But there are a few others that jump to mind. And I remember, and maybe we can look at it, you know, in a group, but the influence that the Presentation Brothers of St. Mary's College had on football in St. Lucia.
But the Dominican
Dominican. And some of the masters who came, like George, like Goddard, you know, and all these other guys, Fonso, they had a tremendous influence on the sport.
And not only football,
they continued,
you know.
No, but especially football, as you mentioned, football. Oh yeah, they were involved in everything.
Track and field,
cricket and everything. But at one stage, you know, the SMC had something like what, maybe 75% of the senior team were made up of Samarians.
SMC.
Yeah, and these guys were just 16. You know, some of them, the ages were between 15 and 18.
I think SMC, they have produced quite a number of national players.
I remember Brother Dominic, he ended up coaching and managing the St. Lucia national team.
Yes.
Great coach, yes. But we must never forget somebody like Arnold Clouden, who's still around.
No, not at all. Yeah.
The contribution.
But I still have some names to call.
He continued the CYO.
Yeah, and then he'll hate. Oliver Smokey Charles.
Yeah.
Oswald Wilkie Latcher. Cassim Vassolui. Victorine Sugar Lawrencin. Cassius Glasgow. And Macmillan Mida, who was a referee development officer at the SLFA. And of course, you could always single out people like Oliver Smokey Charles and Cassim Louis. Those persons, and Patako.
I was about to say that. And the other one I think that we may have missed is Shaq Gabriel.
Shaq Gabriel,
Shaq has he still continues at a particular level up to now, you know, serious coaching and administration. Yeah.
And then when you look at the actual defense of country, you have the likes of Rollin Ferdinand, I refer to karate.
Yeah.
Rollin Ferdinand, Clifton Silly, your brother, Errol Wicks, you know, Bobby St. Omer.
These were the pioneers,
And most recently, who passed away, Victor Dudley and Patrick Edward. They have moved on.
Ezra Jean-Baptiste.
And of course, now you have the likes of Victor Reed, Benny Chitoli, Cleary, Alan Gifford, Michael Wellington, Anthony Leons, Linus De Gaza, Timmy Francis, Gaspar Jean-Baptiste, Augustine Sidney, Elijah Baptiste, Oliver Lawrence, George Raju, Pius Stephen, Karim Sifle, and the man himself, Dr. Ezra Jean-Baptiste.
Yes.
But you never took up karate I mean, your brother was a sixth.
Well, I was there, you know. I went and I started with them, you know, enthusiastically. But when I got a okogiri from Coco under my belly, that was it for me.
You got it quit.
That was too much. So I stick to football and cricket. But they were great in those days.
Yes. We look at life saving. We have David Peter King, Richard Matthias, Jim Anthony, John Bruce, Terrell Compton, Ubud Augustine, Leslie Clapp, Osbert Regis, Ricardo Sayers, Andy Edward, Zacchaeus Dominic. And we have to applaud these persons. I'll tell you why, Solution. If you look at the spate of drowning that we have, all right, and these persons, they are doing a wonderful job. And they have always said, you have an event, you are free to contact them. A beach event, you are free to contact them and they'll be there on the day.
Yeah.
Let's give them a call, especially if you have the young ones at the seaside. Yeah, please, you can do that. They are more than willing to come and monitor what's happening. Netball is an all-female sport and the only sport where the executive is dominated by females. But it must be noted the following men played an integral role in its development. Stalwarts, Laurie Ogis, Errol Montut, passed on, and you have Aldrich George, Wayne Benty, Anthony Lamontagne, Summers Augustine, Delbert Martial, Michael Pierre, and of course, actually Anthony de Beauville.
Yes. At one stage, it was very funny to see men around the court.
Yeah.
Of course, I remember when the Shamrock team had just come out, there was some serious contest between the male netball team, which I was part of, against the female. Some serious. That's the extent. But then it was nice to see guys like Errol and so gravitating towards coaching and managing.
It's a big thing now, you know.
Oh yes,
it's a big thing now.
Oh, yes, internationally, yes.
Men actually play the game, you know. And there's a thing they call like Fast Five.
Yes, Fast Five.
You know, there's not much whistle blowing.
That one is more about strategy and so.
You know. So this Ben, like I tell you, they've done quite a bit in terms of the sport development. And I will have mentioned that Montut married Marian.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So the relationship in the sport, you go there and you get a wife. You know what I'm saying?
That's a windfall. That's not why you go in there, but it can happen, right?
It can happen, you know? We look at rugby, and of course, Clovis Samuel, Jerry Charles, Wendell St. Clair, Mario Chico, Syed James, and Roger Butcher. And of course, it's a game similar to football, but this one there's not much kicking of the ball. You know,
kicking of each other.
It's a very strategic sport, you know. And I must say that presently the St. Lucian rugby players, they are in training, preparing for world champs.
Okay.
In Mexico. And of course, I must also say that the technical director, Wayne Panto, who is Trinidadian, who is the St. Lucia technical director, last week was elected on an international body. So, if I had a chat with him last week, and what he mentioned to me, rest assured, rugby will go places in St. Lucia.
Yeah, I've noticed that there's an all-female team too.
All-female team, and they're doing pretty well, you know.
Yes,
they've gone out there.
I saw them somewhere.
Gone to Martinique, they've gone to Barbados, they have traveled and they're doing well.
Yes.
They give the men, you see there, a run for the money.
Okay.
Yes, man. I had the pleasure of going to a few of the matches where they play this tag. There's no
it's just physical contact.
Pull the tag.
Yeah,
these kind of things. Yeah, you can't go and score on these kind of things. It's a very interesting game. I think that's the game. That's the game I might play. Where you don't touch me. No touching, because the way I see sometimes.
Stay safe.
You know. We look at swimming. We have Marcus Day, Christopher Beaubray, Lance Arnold, Robert Blanchard, David Peterkin, Eddie Hazel, and of course special mention must go out to Andy Edward, Peter James, Brian Charles, and technical official Hilroy Imanus. And Hilroy Imanus was St. Lucia technical official, qualified at the highest level at the World Junior Championship. And of course, when you have someone like that, a St. Lucian officiating at an international event, you ought to bring respect to that person, St. Lucia.
Pay attention to that.
You know, and presently, like I said, our swimmers are currently in Cali, Colombia, and of course they participating in the first ever Junior Pan Am Games. So we wish them all the very best. There's not much about squash, but I can tell you, St. Lucia, we have David Piper, Ray Campbell, Dr. Carlos Sajigo, and Christopher Tanker, who is now the president. And they're looking to kick off things. I spoke to them just recently. In fact, I was at the place on Rodney Bay, and they're looking to give a few jeep.
Where's the court now? Where they play?
At the yacht club.
Still there?
Downstairs the yacht club, as the only facility for now, I think. Yeah.
At one stage, there was a great interest in it.
Yes. You had
a lot of local guys playing it.
You had Lindy Alexander, you know, and then the other guy from Gusev, his name cannot come across now. And we won OECS quite a few times.
Yes.
You know? In table tennis, and you will hear some of his names there, Davis Williams, Claudius Francis, Frank Myers, Guy Cabrera, Chris Wells, Adrian Albert, Brian Matthew, Terry Matthew, David Ferdinand, who passed recently, and special mention, of course, Marlon Charles.
Yes.
Marlon Charles, Garfield Jules,
great Mondon Charles,
Paul Christopher, Gregory Blueshirt, that stylish little player, you know. Adrian Glass and Carlos Innocent. Those names certainly ring a bell.
Oh yes, no doubt. And the interesting thing about tennis is that a lot of us played it. You know, Herman Gill was a very good tennis player. You know, and he was also, you know, part of the organization, and so, you know, but a lot of us played it. Many of us played it, and we played it very well. But I'm sorry that the level of competition has, you know, just dried out. Because that's what is the real, you know, motivation to win.
Indeed.
The bragging rights. You know, I gave you this, I gave you, you know, there was a tremendous amount of bragging rights.
I played it in '79 downstairs the police auditorium.
Yes.
It was a stone throw from home. So
but these are the main places, the Paris Center, the old fire thing on the Jeremy Street, lower Jeremy Street. That's where we played.
That was played there and table tennis. We look at volleyball. Sorry, we look at tennis, and of course Stephen McNamara, Errol Hunt, Digby Umbris, Trevor Hunt, Ricardo Bowe, Buzz Allingford. Of course, you know St. Lucia in terms of over the years, the Buddha Cup, the Fed Cup, all these kind of things, how they have performed. And we have had a number of players, including Vernon Lewis, who some time ago received a special award from the International Tennis Federation, you know, for all the.
But he's special, and of course he has Weeks blood. So, you know
what I'm saying. I had him in the studio recently. You know.
Weeks blood, okay.
Yes, we had a nice.
He was exceptional. He is exceptional.
Indeed,
he's still and is passing on most of his skills to younger generations.
Continue.
I really admire his commitment. And
earlier this year he had his own Vernon Lewis tournament, you know, and of course it wasn't easy in terms of sponsorship. And I literally tell St. Lucia, hey, it's not for Vernon, you know, it's for the young people. Give Vernon the call, and I give them Vernon number to assist, because what he's trying to do is to develop the young people. He don't want to see the young people sitting along the sidewalk harassing people. He wants them to be active. He wants them to tennis. You can get a scholarship and go out there and in terms of your academic, you know, and then come back to St. Lucia and continue building the foundation, you know.
The admiration I have for him is, you know, because if you think back, Tony, tennis was not a local sport.
Not at all.
You know, I remember when it started, and it was at a level. We were ball boys in the gardens, you know. You know, all the big shots used to come and play, and then you get guys like Kirian and some of these guys who went on to play very well. Who, you know, would grab a racket, you know, these old wooden rackets in those days.
I played it on the police court.
Because
that's why I
played. The police courts were there, right? We played there.
The current Minister for Tourism, all of us played there. Hilaire, that's where he played all our.
Come a long way. Great.
You know, we take a look at volleyball, and those names will ring a bell as well, because St. Lucia won OECS volleyball for 18 consecutive years until Dominica beat us. You know, so we have Dennis Sinclair, Brian Louisi, Timothy Joseph, Florian Combi, Shane Rochford, Terry Fistal, Sean Matthews, Roger Joseph, Terry Verdun, Patrick Matre, Murray Armstrong, and Shane Felician.
Yes. Whenever you have volleyball in St. Lucia, the first thing that jumps to my mind is the Cicero Seagulls. You know, that always, I remember those days. You know, with these guys playing basketball, volleyball at a level that, you know, was unprecedented.
There was this partnership or relationship between a team from Martinique and Cicero Seagulls. And man, the level of volleyball was at its highest.
Oh yes.
Highest, you know. But like everything else, it has taken I wouldn't say a nosedive, but it's not what it used to be, you know. And I simply hope the persons, the powers that be, will.
You say you wouldn't say it's a nosedive? I think it's worse than a nosedive, or better than a nosedive. There's definitely a lot of work to be done to bring some of these sports back.
Our policy makers, I'm not going to forget you all. Period. All right, because I know how St. Lucians think, or I know how you think. But I think ahead. I'm leaving no room for you to be bowling an entire over of bouncers at me.
Or googlies.
No. I did my homework, and I did it well. Policy makers, our sports ministers, Judd Odlum, Romanus Lancico, Desmond Braffett, Stevenson King, Mario Michel, Leonard Montoot, Edmund Estefan, and of course, our President Minister, Kenton Kazimi. You can say what you want, whether they didn't do good or bad or whatever. They were our policymakers. All right? And I've always said that, like I told the minister last week, they need to find the monies and let things happen, make things happen for St. Lucia.
But in addition to the ministers, which of course is of political influence, you had the
PS
top admin, right?
The
PSs, and some very, very good sports admin officers.
Indeed,
like Michael Midget-Pierre comes to mind right away. When you know these guys were really involved in policy.
Indeed, these guys were giving you the money's worth. You know, you pay them a salary and they
commitment. The commitment was there. Mangal as PS, there were quite a few.
Henry Mangal.
Yes.
We have some picks, and I will show you. And I want you to we look at segment 5. We have some picks here, Martin.
Okay.
And then we will. Julian Hunt.
The great JR.
Farrell Charles.
Farrell. Dennis Sinclair. Dennis. Reds. Earl himself, yes.
Peter Dalson.
Dominoes, yeah. Oh,
Oliver.
yeah, the great guy.
Smokey Charles.
Yes. Yeah,
McNamara, yes. Stephen McNamara.
Yeah.
David Peterkin.
Yeah.
Hugh Bristol.
Hey, yes, man, we forgot Bristol. We didn't mention him. Yes. Great guy.
Delbert Martial.
Yes, Del.
Roland Cox with the afro.
Yeah, Roland. Oh, yeah,
Peter Lionel.
Yeah,
that's. Peterson Francis, former president of that association. Many of you didn't know that.
Yes, he was. Former mayor too.
Yeah. David Jordan, boxing.
Yeah, boxing. The great
Alfred Emmanuel,
president. Yes.
Track and field, boxing, SLOC.
Yeah.
Lyndon Cooper, SLFA president, and also treasurer of track and field at one time.
Yeah. Hey,
Teddy Matthews.
Teddy. Table tennis.
David Christopher.
Boxing, football, everything. Yeah.
Brian Louisi.
Volleyball.
Parry Daniel.
Football.
Roger Joseph.
Yeah.
Richard Peter King, sorry. And we have here Alvin Malikan. We go into another segment of picks, and of course you will see some of the latest sports administrators.
Yeah.
Patrick Matre. Eddie Hazel.
Swimming.
Yes, swimming, yeah. Conrad Frederick, boxing. Michael Tier.
Everything.
No? John Estefan, cricket.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, today he won the principal secretary. He returned into office, cricket. Roger Butcher, rugby. Chris Wells, yes. Table tennis. Karim Sifli, karate do. Leslie Kolimu, basketball. Lambert Charles, that's. Cornelius Brin, track and field. Roderick Sherry, cycling and track and field. Shane Felicia, volleyball. Emmanuel Belas, football, cricket, and of course, umpire.
Administrator par excellence.
Chad Desi, football. Carol Henry, cricket. And of course, you heard him earlier, 8-8 against Julian Charles.
Coach.
Trevor Daniel. And of course, the guy I spoke to about, Hilroy Imanas, swimming official, international swimming official. And here you have Vernon Lewis. Seth Spod, football, technical director of the SLFA. And so look at this guy here, Aaron King, and he has made a lot, or he has done a lot for St. Lucia. He is the one who have ensured that our young sportsmen and women get a scholarship in the United States. And under his watch, tell you, St. Lucians up there studying and playing. So kudos to Aaron King.
Yeah.
and his foundation, Free Kick Foundation.
Football.
Victor Reed, karate, football. And of course, we have Striker Hippolyte, former basketball player, and of course, official, track and field official. He's part and parcel of the technical committee of the St. Lucia Athletics Association, and he recently received an award, a special award for his longevity in terms of officiating.
Yeah.
And he still carries a bag, a 1992 OECS bag. When we hosted OECS games here, they were supposed to be at Mindo Philippa, but they were doing some rehab work at Mindo Philippa, so the games were held at Marshall Grounds. Yeah, you know. So St. Lucia, I'm going into a very dedicated segment. A segment where I will salute 6 of our outstanding sports personalities. And that's coming from me. It's not from government, from me. Saturday Spotlight, we like to take this opportunity to officially salute and give recognition to the following individuals who has made a sterling contribution to our sport. I have selected 6 men, and in so doing, as presenter of Saturday Night Sports, I have the honor to bestow 2 words on these individuals. And the words: integrity ambassadors. 1, Frederick DeVoe, a former interim president of the St. Lucia Athletics Association and businessman, who invested close to $1 million into track and field in St. Lucia, the popular MNC Games. 2, Julian Hunt, cricket, President St. Lucia Cricket Association, President Windward Islands Cricket Association, and President West Indies Cricket Board. Julian Hunt. 3, Earl Huntley, football president St. Lucia FA, and in those days, in this era, when there was limited resources or limited funding, he made it work for our footballers in St. Lucia. Earl Huntley, football and cricket. 4, David Peterkin, technical director, St. Lucia Swimming Federation, Aquatic Federation, and coach. And David has, I can tell you, 80% of our swimmers came from under his watch. And we have to say kudos to a man like that.
Yep.
Was harnessed our talent for a number of years. Former OECS director. 5, Dr. Ezra Jabatis, 6th Dan Shotokan Karate Do International Federation Japan, chief instructor Shotokan Karate Do International St. Lucia, former technical director Karate Do Federation St. Lucia. Ezra Jabatis. 6, Wayne Benty. Benty to date has officiated in 100 plus regional matches and 25 international matches. He has also received an International Umpire Award from the International Netball Federation, and is also the technical officer or official for the St. Lucia Track and Field Athletic Association. And when it comes to school sports, track and field sports, he is the technical director. So we need to honor these persons. So St. Lucia, here you have it. St. Lucia men who have contributed to Fair Helen. I will repeat what I said earlier. Not all names, past and present, can be mentioned. However, the sport you serve in whatever capacity is being recognized. Your thought, Michael?
Well, I'm struck, dumbstruck.
Yeah.
I'm lost for words.
Yeah.
Very good choices.
Yeah.
Very good, Tony. You know, and what's really striking there is the difference in most of them. Between the among them.
Yeah.
You know, the sports are different. Their styles were different.
Oh yeah, different.
You know?
Yeah, indeed.
And you know, so together they really make a whole.
Indeed.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. I hope they do appreciate the fact that you took the time to do that.
Let me tell you.
Yes. I want to congratulate them too. Yes.
When I finished this last night, I'm not blowing my trumpet. I'm not here for that. I checked the
You're
time.
allowed to blow it. You're allowed to.
I checked the time. I said, wow. And then I had to go in the water this morning there again.
Yeah.
You know, I said, my God.
Very nice.
But you know, St. Lucia, it's not about me. It's about you. And like I've always said, this program is to highlight y'all. And for those persons who never had an idea as to what was happening in terms of sports in this country, all right, we'll actually see how we have, those persons before me has contributed to sports. And trust me, this is not the end of the tunnel when it comes to highlighting our sportsmen and sportswomen.
Yeah.
There's a lot in the making, and I'll be touching a lot of people. I'll be touching a lot of homes, a lot of hearts, to ensure that we remember those persons who laid the foundation for sports. Yeah. Your final word, Martin?
Well, one of the areas which I think we are, you know, not operating at the level which we should. I don't want to say it in any other way. Is the dove that has been left after. You remember the guys Ionola who had the Hall of Fame?
Hall of Fame, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I think somebody should pick that up again. You know, because sponsorship can be available.
You were involved in that as well.
Yes.
At one time.
Yes. And what must happen now is that we must be able to find a way to recognize those persons and the contributions they have made towards the young people and towards sports in St. Lucia. And the other area is we're not writing the history.
I'm coming to that, you know.
I mean, tonight, even as I hear you, I'm saying how many young people know about these persons.
These persons.
Yeah, I just think they are so happy to get a clip from 1970 when Hoven did a match, when Waxen I scored 5 or 6 goals. You know, it was so beautiful to read that. It brought back, you know. So we need to get, you know, into the writing and recording of those. Because everybody's going away and we're losing a lot of information.
And we lose them fast too.
Very, yes.
This week, somebody sent me a email, a message, not a message, but a copy of a clip, a story I did, 2006. And you know what the person mentioned to me? I hear a long time. So when people believe that he's a Johnny came lately, what he was trying to tell them,
you've been around.
Look back at that article I did.
You're in tongue too long.
On him, that he's in tongue too long for them to believe he just come. Yeah. But I want to address, before I leave, I want to address one thing. It wasn't easy selling, trying to put this together. It wasn't easy selling at all. And for the amount of WhatsApp messages that I dish out, I want to thank the many persons, because I wanted to get the names right. The many persons that assisted. I'm not going to call any names. I'm just going to say thank you very much. Thank you immensely. 2, I cannot understand. You, a sports administrator, and you have no idea, right, of the year your organization was formed. Who was your first executive? Who was the first president, vice president? I'm saying to you, we need to get it right. You need now to start to document your history, because one day a young child will embarrass you when they walk into your sports organization and ask you, who was your first president of your organization? What year it was formed? Who won your first medal for you locally or whatever? Who was your first recognized or first national athlete to represent your organization? Or first athlete to represent you at the regional level? Or first athlete to represent you at the international level? Take my advice. Record your events or events of activities for the year, your calendar of activities for the year, the person that performing, the time, the height, the distance, the team, photos of your team. Ensure you have that. We need to build a sports archive. So the children coming will know persons who have laid the foundation for sports in this country. In closing, I want to wish each and every one of you who celebrated birthdays this week, wedding, whatever it was this week, and those coming this coming week, I wish you God's blessing. Those going to their respective place of worship tomorrow, I wish you traveling mercies. And of course, as we continue to observe the protocol, please adhere. As you're aware, the news came out yesterday of this new variant. Please, St. Lucia, don't let your guards down. We're doing pretty fine. 107, 109 thereabout. We're doing pretty fine, St. Lucia. But not fine enough.
No.
Not fine enough. We're doing well, but not fine enough.
We can do better.
We can do better. 42 years of independent, we can do better than that. Come on. I love to call independent, you know. That means we're no longer a child. 42 years. We are grown up men and women. You know, we can do better. Please adhere to the protocol. And those that normally encounter trouble, just walk away. Wasted murders, just walk away. I am appealing to you all, please, St. Lucia. Please, I live there, you live there, Martin live there. It's not a good story. Please. From me to you, Martin, thank you very much for coming.
Good night, thank you.
And of course, extend my greetings to your beautiful wife as always. Yes. You know, Martin and I will go way back, you know, way back. St. Lucia, salute. Good night and enjoy.
Good night. So that's a lot.